Real Talk, a podcast for security folks who want less FUD and more FUN. In each episode, we'll have lighthearted conversations about security, people, processes, and technology as we react to how they're portrayed in film and TV. We'll bring in experts from inside and outside Check Point to break it down. What was accurate? What wasn't? And what can you apply to real-world cyber events? On today's episode, hosts Syya Yasotornrat, Check Point Cloud Security Architect Alfred Trevino, and Mike Madero, VP Information Security, and Lionel Bailey Jr., AVP Information Security at Mr. Cooper, react to the 1983 film War Games.
Joshua.
So this is where they've done their research, and they're trying the guy's name, his boy's name, because he had a boy that tragically died, and then magically, boom, here they are getting in through the back door. And you know, this is one of those things where even now, if you do enough research on the people that wrote a given program, you can sometimes find hidden nuggets like this.
So social engineering is what we're saying.
Basically, but they were
definitely.
Yeah.
And with the world today, right, with the compute and the connectivity, oh my gosh, that one little name may not have mean nothing 10 years ago. Today, that seven, it's the like the seven, what is it? With the Kevin Bacon, this
6 degrees of separation.
6 degrees of separation, right? Yeah. So what may not have been, or what you may not have thought have been a possible as a you know, as knowing somebody or knowing something or having something that's valuable. Boy, it's like, it's easy to connect that 7 or 6 or 7 degrees, right? Very quick and easy.
Yeah, and the key thing here is, you know, it's more than just the back door. They'll tell you not to, you know, make your passwords after your kids or your pets or things like that. And in this case here, the author of the person that developed this computer system had a young boy that died right around the time that he was building this machine. So they figured if he was going to have a secret password to get in, that would be it. And sure enough,
boom.
The password requirements were definitely not as stringent as what they are.
No, because it's not even 8 characters or.
No, it's
of course not. Isn't it like mainframe right there? What I'm looking at,
and it's all caps. So there wasn't really a whole lot.
Just like old school COBOL. Like, come on. This is the same stuff that the government was running on for the longest. So, you know, hey, what can we say?
Oh my gosh, is this COBOL? It is COBOL they're playing with, right? Because it potentially predates this, right?
Maybe Fortran.
Yeah,
Fortran.
Fortran assembler, one of those 3.
Oh my gosh. Ooh.
I guess we dating ourselves a little bit with that one.
I had one of those as a coffee table for a long time.
How big of a player was Ada in government coding?
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so I have to say, I don't know if you guys saw it. If we can just rewind just a little bit, he's like, hey, do you want to hear the voice of it? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to like talk about real quick here, because how much our voices, the whole AI voice technology has evolved just a little bit. I don't want to go heavy into it because that could be saved for another day. But
want to hear it talk? Yeah.
Turns it on.
I'll ask it how it feels. I'm fine. How are you?
Excellent. Long time.
It's a long way from Siri, isn't it?
I use an AI. It's called Mirth.ai. Cool SaaS platform, but it's all voice translation, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's you know, it's funny because back in the day, you always knew when you were talking to a computer.
Yeah.
It wasn't fooling anybody.
Uh-oh, here we go. Shall we play a game?
Love
to. Look at these graphics.
I'm telling you that screen, I remember that screen from computer science, and it's like, oh my gosh, can we get some color?
Yeah, it's a lot of green screen, right?
Yeah.
Global thermonuclear.
Oh, I mean, come on. Okay, let's ask this question, you guys. Who would play on what team? Like, what would you pick?
Wow.
Which side do you
Oh my
want?
gosh! And there's a good view of the modem there.
I'm about to say, you want to ask that question? Which side do we want? It's either the Soviet Union or United States. Come on, I have to pick where I live.
Everybody else, you're guessing whether or not they really have nukes? Yes or no? Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. We don't really know. The U.S. and Russia, you know.
There's no question. It's like, okay.
Oh yeah, they got them. And everybody else like maybe.
Okay, so this whole like room right here, the war game
Situation room.
So when I worked at HP, we had a situation room space, right? And we managed, the EDS side of the house, the services, like managed it. And they made it look like this. And it looks really cool. It's like it was part of the, tour of our data center facilities here in Dallas. And I just cracked up because I'm like, war games, and everyone loves it, by the way. Why do we love that visual?
How many knocks looked like this before this movie?
Man, that's true. Like,
yeah. How many afterwards? Everybody. I like the fact that you've got this one screen, because I'm a monitoring guy anyway, like I'm back in the day.
Yeah.
But unless you know what's going on under the hood, and it's one of those things, right? The CIO, CISO, whoever it is, walk through, and we could look like we're nothing every day. But these big giant screens on here that show attack vectors, that show a lot of greens and a lot of names that relate with the faces to the business. Holy smokes, now I put my money out there and I'm getting my return. And that's what I grew up, seeing and visualizing and wanting to do that. Which, we all know what's going on with the hood. It's protecting, doing all these different drops and security stuff, but you would never know it, right? Most people would never know it or even think about it.
No, you just watch the blinky lights.
Yeah. It's a kind of a nice little visual indicator.
Yeah.
I think what strikes me about this scene, though, is they were hacking in, but they were being naive. Like, they didn't really think it was something real. Do you think, like, when there's teenage hackers, because there are a lot of, like, little, like, script kidding and all that stuff that you could use. Like, do you think there's intention, or do you think more now, like, as in human behavior, where they're just curious kids, or do you think now they're a little bit more savvy and they're like, no, I'm going?
Yeah, yes and no.
Like,
the premise here is he thought he was trying to hack into a game company, and so he's hacking all these different companies in his area because he knows where that game company is located. But he hits the Whopper, and so he starts looking up. Well, what's this Whopper? He has an idea that he's onto something that's not what he was looking for, because he starts researching who built it. But he has no idea where he is. He's not aware that what he's doing is that level. He doesn't know he's at NORAD, basically.
Yeah. So I'll take it back to like freshman year of college, right? Computer science, the FBI actually comes in to teach us. And the first thing they're telling us is there's a difference between hacking and cracking. Hacking, no malicious intent. Cracking, malicious intent. We actually hire hackers.
Yeah.
Wait, you actually do? They're like, yeah, we like when you can hack it because then you can help to plug the hole that you found. Okay.
You don't know until you know, right?
Right. So I know for myself, there might have been an instance or a couple where some things might have been hacked. It was completely unintentional, but I don't think in this case he actually had malicious intent. That's why I say it's yes and no. Now nowadays, that's a whole different story. Kids are bored.
They're evil. Them kids
malicious. They're not cracking to see if they can do it. They're like, I want to do it and I have intent.
And there's so much of it out there that's sophisticated that anybody can run. And the way that things are connected now, holy smoke, that blast radius is like huge. It can be depending on how they're targeting it.
I don't think the kids are so much doing it anymore. Just to, hey, look what I can do. Now it's like, well, yeah, anybody can do that. It's nothing special. Now it's like, look how much I can make, or how much can I get away with. So
it's like upping up, it's escalating, if you will.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this next scene here that I picked up, because I was watching this and I have thoughts. I have thoughts, gentlemen. So,
and who hitchhikes anymore?
Isn't that what Uber is basically in Lyft?
Well, yeah, but you're paying it. You know who's going to pick you up. You have some detail. Yeah, some assurance that, and there's that handy button that says, hey, something's going wrong. You can share your details with somebody, where you're going, and they can track you. This, not so much.
What is this that I'm looking at, guys? What is this thing?
That's a payphone. That's what Clark Kent used to run into.
Old school.
And change into Superman and exit out.
Yes, but I must say,
so what he's
Superman
doing
actually
is
have like most of his were 3/4 clothed, like covered with the phone booth. Like, was it actually one that's wide open like his, or was it the other one?
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, and now this is probably something else you guys haven't seen in a long time. He's going to find a pop tab.
Yep.
This is a piece of aluminum that used to tear off your Coke can and drink.
Juices. I think juices still have the pop
Juices
tab.
still kind of have them, but it's more foil. And so there he grounds the phone to make it think that it's getting money, so he can make a call.
Okay, first off, what is this thing he's holding?
Yeah, that's the receiver. When you make you're on the phone, that's why you do this instead of just this.
Those phones that are probably at your grandparents' house and in museums. Yeah, those. They actually have a head part and a phone part where you can speak into.
I ran across the phone booth, like a real one, and it wasn't working, but it was funny because I've got 4 kids, and about 4 or 5 years ago, we went to do this mud run, and it was on an Air Force base, and my kids were looking, they're pointing at this little island out there, and there it was, this one lonely phone booth that'd been out there forever, but they were so amazed by it. And everybody went to flock to it and had to explain the whole phone booth thing. But yeah, it's hard. Phone booth forever.
Yeah.
I know there's been some videos about the whole rotary phone and all that. It's a little unfair, but I don't recall ever seeing the rotary phone on a payphone. I always thought it was buttons. I guess I'm a little behind the times on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when Clark Kent was running into the original phone booth, they didn't have push buttons.
They didn't?
No. That's fairly recent.
Yeah, I think
the Christopher Reeve Superman,
yeah. No. The black and white Superman.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's Don Reeves or something.
I don't
Same
know.
last name, but first name were different.
Perhaps. I couldn't tell you.
So, anyone that cares for that a little bit of trivia, though, that first 50s Superman was unalived under mysterious circumstances.
Oh, really?
What?
Either that or he committed unalivement for himself. I forgot which way it went.
Weird.
Oh no, I was confusing him with another TV show person, but he did unalive, I think, self-induced.
Oh, okay.
I think, yeah, unfortunately. But I digress. So, okay. I don't understand that technology, guys. Okay, so this is a form of hacking a system. What exactly did he do with that little push tin, connect it to the earpiece of the mouthpiece? Like, what was that happening? Does anybody know?
Yeah, that's the way they used to take advantage of the old copper phone systems. I mean, you could do stuff like that to, for the most part, a lot of people would want to make long distance calls without having to pay long distance. It was quite expensive, still quite expensive if you're making international calls.
They discovered tones, like different tones and frequencies, right? So phone phreaking, and which is cool. I did that back in the day. You get your own little phone box, and there were several different ways. But fun fact is, those phone lines are still relevant and used at almost every emergency. If you've got a place that you need some uptime, where you need to get out, because we think of our phones as being like pretty much 80-90% usable, but phone lines are freaking strong. Like at the end of the day, underwater in the craziest circumstances, phone lines work still, as long as they get to the provider of the pop, the pop location or wherever it needs to go to that other end. They're a lot more reliable, right?
Yeah.
So the data centers, all those places, doctors, all have their dedicated phone.
That's my bell. Everything is my bell. My bell still owns every one of them. And it's crazy because she still owns the rights and the technology to all phone lines.
Yep.
and people just piggyback off of those.
That's it.
It's still hilarious.
Okay, guys. Full disclosure: Ma Bell, is that AT&T or no? That was
That's all the like you got.
That's all of them now. Bell,
Is all of them now?
AT&T, all of them. They all were My Bell originally.
Because it was that big old conglomeration, and I remember they started breaking them up, right? The government.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Oh my God. Okay. So I did not know that. And okay, realistically speaking, scale of 1 to 10, you think, would a teenager back in the 80s know to do this?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
100%.
Because even the 80s, like computers were like a high, it gained a lot of momentum, I think, with a lot of the younger folks.
Yeah. Well, especially, so there used to be something called a bulletin board you could dial into. And a lot of the bulletin boards were hooked up to something called FidoNet.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you could literally send messages to people on other bulletin boards, just like you do the internet. And, your bulletin board would dial into a central location, dump all the messages, get new messages, and they'd propagate, right? And the idea was so that you didn't, again, have to pay long distance because you'd hit a local or regional drop-off point and all these messages would travel. So it was, in a way, kind of a precursor to some of the internet things that hadn't really been exposed to the public yet. It was available if you were in maybe a university, through things like DECnet and things like that, but it hadn't really hit mainstream yet. And on these boards, they would talk about things like this, like orange boxes, what you would need to do your phone phreaking and all that stuff. So yeah, the kids 100% knew about a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff they taught in school as well.
Yep.
So I know my school, they actually taught this. They actually had live working copies in the basement. So if you wanted to see it, you literally just have to walk down there and go look at it. So.
Okay, maybe I don't know about you guys. I did not go to cool schools then because I did not see this. I did not know. We were not of that genre. We were still doing like we still had an auto shop, and that was like the extent of the technology that they afforded us. Like,
I still have my platform book where it's got like a blue box, orange box, red box, right? They were all a little bit different.
Yeah.
But they would do different. They would approach it differently. But yeah, I still got my manual downstairs. I think it's from the late 80s.
Yeah.
Do you think the kids today would look at this and go like, oh, "Okay, I get it," or they'd be like, "The heck you people do?"
Man, like the kids of cell phones, right? Born and bred of the cell phone age. Man, that would be difficult, I think, for them to get this.
I think so too.
Yeah, because like we don't have to be, we know how phone lines work. There's actually wires there, right? And I think everything that's built from late 90s, early 2000s has been progressed to wireless. So it's like there's a layer there that most kids won't get.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, hey, kids. We'll talk about that in the next clippy here, because this is the other thing that I thought was fascinating. That I have thoughts on this because I was like, this is a really smart kid. So if you guys don't mind the next clip.
City, please. Yeah, for Sunnyvale, California. The number for Protovision?
Yeah, grabbing that 5 1/4 floppy in a second, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. And could you also tell me what other prefixes cover that area?
This is kind of funny. You're going to get to see an old school modem here in a minute, too.
Like the fact that he's got the intelligence to ask for all the zip codes and
yeah.
And then this.
Oh, yeah.
What is this?
Is the app? He's bringing out that word dialer. Oh, you're, I'm ahead of you a little bit. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. That's the big 8-inch floppy.
Protovision, I have you now.
There. He just put the phone on a modem. And so that the speaker goes into the computer, and the computer speaks to the phone on the other thing. And
where we almost had the whole handshake memorized.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, there's only a finite amount of numbers, right, in a prefix. And so if you think about a square or a grid, you can plug in an area code and give it, the prefix, and then let the dialer or the application just run through, right? But yeah, the same exact. I did this probably, 20-something years ago when I was big into it, and I remember coming across a chemical company and getting in there, and for the life of me, going through it, and I'm just sitting there. I'm just very early on. But it's actually what progressed me, or what kind of like kept me going to where I'm at now. Where I was like, man, if it's this easy to do this, let's see where we can take it. Let's keep going.
I know as recently as the mid late 90s, doing a war dialer thing was part of doing an external penetration test.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So they were looking for people that had their routers on phone lines, or they were connected directly, so that admins could dial in and manage those devices. And again, checking to see, did they change the admin password on it, or was it still admin and things like that. Also,
all
people
still relevant.
Yeah, still kind of relevant.
I'm like, didn't that just happen today? Like,
kind of relevant still. But they would also have maybe somebody's workstation that was set up with PC Anywhere, and you would dial into your machine so that you could work remotely, and then you could
PC Anywhere. Oh gosh,
do whatever.
Man, I know. Yeah, you're just bringing back like all sorts of memories. Yeah. 32 PC Anywhere. Yeah, 32.
Yeah.
but I will say war dialing nowadays is a lot different than it was back then.
Yeah.
Because back then you had to hope nobody called you in the middle of that process.
Break your line, yeah.
Then it broke everything. You had to stop. Right? Call waiting didn't come about until late 90s.
yeah.
So when this movie came out,
The cancel call waiting
start
code.
over.
You'd put in your dialing prefix to cancel call waiting, so it wouldn't.
Yeah, star whatever, and then bam, you were good, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So are these techniques still in use today, like from a cybersecurity perspective, as far as like some of that methodology of knowing that, like, could you code something where you could just hog the bandwidth and so nothing else can come in or anything like that? Like, I'm just thinking, like you say, like with pods,
Well, nowadays it's the DDoS attack.
Yeah.
Right? That's really what that is. That's straight DDoS. If I hit it enough, and I can do it with a ping attack, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right? You can do it from any computer, just ping -T-L and then send it. But it will flood their network so much that anything can barely get in or out. So it's like, can you do it? Yes. Do you want to do it? No.
It's a good idea.
And
well, now they have more sophisticated ways to find you. So doing it now, don't now.
It's not as much fun and games as it used to be. I'll say that.
Yeah. I think
there used to be I don't remember if it was a program or something, but the whole thing was got a minute. And what they would do is they would try to get as many of their listeners, subscribers, whatever, to all call one number for a minute. And it would basically saturate the circuit for that number, and nobody could get through.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's how you ended up with party lines as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody's dialing out at the same time, and eventually all the lines cross.
Yeah.
You only got X amount, right, for each one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man alive. I remember as a kid, like trying like, oh, want to see, but then you would hear other people, you would inadvertently hear other people's conversations. It's a little weird. It's kind of like ghostly. And then also a little voyeuristic too, if you had that opportunity to it. But just saying.
That is true. Yeah. That's probably where voyeurism started. With the party line.
Yet again, something that us Gen X kids invented and like, got to experience. All right. So any final thoughts on that particular that modem and like connecting and all that good stuff? Any thoughts? Final thoughts? No.
Just glad I don't have to do it anymore, because it was very time consuming.
Yeah, now with everything kind of session based, I guess, or IP based, it's I think there's other ways, a lot more efficient ways, but I will say in third world countries, right, other places where phone systems are still relevant, that would probably be, I think, the biggest target if I was still doing it. But totally legit.
Right now, it's a lot more trouble than it's worth. There's easier ways to do it.
Right. Totally. All right, guys, let's go on to our next clippy here.
So
You're really into computers.
previous to this scene,
Yeah.
he finds the password under the keyboard of the secretary, because he asks her for something, so she goes into another room,
Dialing into this.
and he looks under her keyboard to get the password that they're using.
I tried to look for that. I couldn't get it, unfortunately.
There's the password that he stole. Very.
He's like, they change it every year, so it's just a little variation of it.
Yeah, I think last year was marker or something, crayon. And then, he's able to see everyone's grades.
Wow.
Okay.
Those are
Here's where I'm really fascinated by this is
I don't
like
think that I deserved an F.
Same.
Do you?
biology 2, world history 11B. These numbers I never understood the numbering system for schools.
Already done.
Well, they want to look cool like libraries. So.
Okay, Catherine.
It's not quite the Dewey Decimal System, but.
Ooh, I love the cards, though. I love going to the libraries and smelling the
How
cards.
can anybody get a D in home ec?
There's something nostalgic about that, man. There really is. Like, it takes you back.
Like an old, or even some of the older
I'm
bookstores.
changing your biology.
Yeah.
No, I don't want you to do that. You're going to get.
All right, guys, here we go.
Nobody can find out.
The ethical conundrum.
There,
If you
just
have the
gotta see. Now
ability
you
to
don't have
change
go to
your
summer school.
grades,
Change it back.
and no one would know, would you do
I
it?
said change it back.
Okay.
No. No.
Yeah, no.
Ah! Mike's like, yeah, no.
Now, the only reason that I'm saying that I possibly would,
Because you may have already done it?
no, is because, schools weren't necessarily equipped to handle those with different minds. So I feel like I was a little underplayed in some of the testing phases. And that's the only reason I say that is because I know nowadays, I know where I sit. I know what's going on in my brain with ADHD and these other kind of things that you get. But back then, boy, you got kind of left to the side if you really couldn't keep up. So me going back in there, knowing what I know about computers, oh my gosh, I'd be in there, but like, you know what? I really did study on that thing. Or maybe, I don't know. It'd be conflicting with, it would be tough.
I mean.
So I'll tell you why no for me, right? In college, and I gotta go back to college, right? In college, there was a guy who was actually doing that, going in and changing everyone's grade. He would only change for like 2 classes. The max you could always do was 2 classes. I graduated. I kept my same one. I was like, no, I earned this grade. This is the grade I'm going to keep. Regardless of what else was going on with me, I was like, fine, right? 2 years after I graduated, they did an audit. And they went back. So every grade he changed, all those people lost their degrees.
Oh, wow.
Because those were in core classes. So everybody lost their degree. And I'm like, my parents called me, and the first thing they said was, did you get your grades changed? I was like, if I would, you think I would have this grade on my transcript? No.
Yeah.
So I tell people, in my major, my GPA was this. I never say what my overall was on purpose.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm proud of my 3.18. Thank you. That's
Right.
it.
Wink, wink.
No, yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did not
major, I was a
cheat,
3.0 plus student in my major. It was the other classes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hate to say it didn't matter to me because it wasn't computer science.
Well, here's the thing about grades, and I've got nieces and nephews. I'm sure if you guys have children, it's like, yeah, grades are important because you do have to have some kind of like know how your performance is. But in the grand scale of life, when I see like recent grads post their grades on resumes, I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Bless your
take that
heart.
off now. You take that off now. Like no one cares.
In fairness, they're like, look, I'm worthy. I haven't done anything yet, but I'm worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it? I know how to test my teachers, or I know how to take tests.
And for a lot of kids, that was really put at the top of their priority list. Oh, damn it! They're going to tell you what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get us in trouble, so I'm not going to say I'm encouraging cheating. Everybody, no one should ever cheat in school.
Get good grades.
I do think, though, that goes back to a little bit about integrity and why it's so important in cybersecurity specifically. If you go into this field, you must have integrity to do this. Like, otherwise,
there is a
core to get placed in a place of trust.
Yes.
Anytime you're working in cybersec, And if they suspect that you are of low integrity, then they won't trust you and they don't want to employ you.
Yep.
And, it is the, it is something that is, really at the core of the profession, right? You look at the CISSP, there's an ethical section to it.
Oh yeah, and it's
seriously.
Totally. So Alfred, okay, so let's think about this because where you're at as you support clients and stuff like that. I have to ask, do you see or do you sense any of your clients having these types of challenges where they're hacked into, in this case, the government? And let's not talk about I exclude a lot of scenes because people, if you want to watch war games and it sounds interesting to you, watch the freaking movie. I'm not going to show you every single scene, but when there is a breach of sorts, how welcoming are people, businesses in to have them look at their innards, if you will? Is there still resistance that you see from clients?
So, depending on how severe it is, right, or when it happened, can also, really propel that, because it is such a heartbreaking and just there's all sorts of feelings and things going on when you're getting stuck with ransomware or somebody's, breached into your keys of the kingdom. I find that most folks they're on edge. There's a lot of feelings going on, and they range from all sorts of areas. But they are very welcoming to any kind of help that they can get. We have a large department that's just nothing but, hey, if you've got something bad going on, just call this. And that's all they take care of. But I know on my customer side, when I used to be a customer, I was definitely nervous at people coming in, seeing my environment, seeing what's going on, and then, wow, look, we're exposed, and I feel like I've had some kind of shortcoming. But when you've done this for so long and you see the shortcomings of, let's say, RSA, the government, folks that have large budgets with large amounts of money with many different resources, then I don't feel so bad. I'm doing okay with what I got.
Yeah. No, I think there's some great opportunities to learn from movies like this, you guys, just in general for real life. But so overall, guys, what is your overall assessment as far as, and we're not playing any more clips because, like I said, darn it, watch the movie. But any takeaways that you have just based on some of the basic hackings that this kid did? Is it applicable today? Can you see this happening, a modern version of war games out today? Because, Hollywood doesn't know how to create anything anymore. Could we have a modern day war games reboot?
Yes.
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be far-fetched to recreate where someone gets into a system, takes advantage of it, and starts making it think something's going on that isn't. And one of the things that you'll see in other parts of the movie is just the way he talks to people to get them to react in a certain way so that he can get what he wants, right? And, and it's not necessarily, hey, I want you to do this so I can do that. I want you to do this so you'll give me something that I can then use to go do that. So he's not even asking them most of the time directly for what he wants to use against them. He'll a lot of times ask them for something that's totally innocuous.
Again, social engineering. It feels
definitely.
Yes.
It feels like to me, it doesn't matter how many controls we put in place. We could put 1,000 layers of technology in between, but it just takes one person to be like, "Oh yeah, come on in." Is that what you guys are saying? Are we hopeless? Are we in an eternal battle?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it's a great place. I think it's a great place for all of us that are doing stuff with that, because we know the challenge, and it's never going to end unless everything's automated and blueprinted, and you have stuff defined in that kind of manner. But as long as there's people in place that are doing some part of it, there's always going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Security awareness training. Shameless plug for all for anybody listening to this. Get your users trained. Simple. The more you train them, the less likely you are to be a victim of war games.
Absolutely. Yeah, the whole the social engineering part of it is totally legit and just totally relevant. A lot of different ways to get that information now, but I would say, we often, when they're doing reconnaissance and often doing the social engineering part, right? I would call the low hanging fruit. And still, that's very relevant today on how most of those kind of big exposures and breaches actually come about. So,
and you still have a lot of people nowadays that put passwords on sticky notes.
Oh yeah,
under keyboards.
Yep.
I've seen it with my own 2 eyes, and you're talking like password.
guys,
capital P password.
And gals, I thought that there would never ever be a time where I have many, many different passwords, but I thought that there would never be a time where I knew any of my passwords, which is crazy to think today, right? 5 years ago, I changed everything over to just automated and generated and MFA, and it's like I have no idea what any of my passwords are. Mm-hmm. And I lost my phone 2 months ago, right?
Oh wow.
And so I really put it to the test because they do, like a lot of the software out there, they do a good job with trying to think of every scenario that's going to take place so I can get back in where I need to go. Mm-hmm. But boy, I will say between Uber and LastPass, and just trying to go through some of that, because you don't know until you know, right? And so going through it, I'm like, man, this would be a good option for XYZ to be put here. Or what about this use case? But to this day, I have no idea what any of my passwords are.
I did the recent thing where my master password to get into the safe is a 20 character totally random password.
Right? I know.
And
it's not Joshua. Okay, good to know.
I came up with no, it's not Joshua.
Pencil.
And I did come up with a system, right, for remembering it. And it's broken up into 3 character bits for the most part. There's a couple of 2 characters, obviously, to get to 20. But it's still helpful now for me to turn on the little eyeball so I can see what it is I'm typing. Because, it's like, is that? Okay, is that? Mm-hmm. So,
and finally, they went from like defining colors for characters versus numbers. Man, that was a big one, like O's and zeros, right? Like capital O, but they finally have kind of bridged the gap on some of those little areas.
Yeah, is it a capital I or is it an L or is it?
Yeah.
Now I blocked myself out. Now I got to reset it. Now I got to go to this other email recovery.
I got to tell you, as an end user, it's such a pain in the wazoo. And I've said this before. I think us humans are inherently. We want the open shortest path first, okay? We're OSPF by humanity. Like, we're lazy. Like, what's the minimal bar of entry that we got to get to where we want to go? So what you guys are all talking about to me is like, I think why war games will always exist, right? So you guys, it's been so much fun talking to you guys, and I really appreciate your time. What did you guys think of this whole reaction to war games? Is this realistic?
Yes, 100%.
I think so. Yeah,
most definitely.
Yeah, and I think it was a great premise. If you're looking for any candidates, I think Enemy of the State would be a good one, because there's so many people that look at that one like, no way can they do that, and I'm just like, okay,
Think of when that one was put out too.
The early 90s, I think.
It was in the 90s.
90s,
and some of the stuff that they were talking about. If you were to watch it again and say, between 2011 or 2015, even, you'd be like, wow, this is all going on right now.
Yes. And I was former military, so I already knew, I knew it was kind of out there from the satellite imagery and all of that. And so I just remember watching that with other people, like friends and colleagues, and they'd be like, no way. And I'm like, okay, you guys have no idea right now.
Yeah, but, good.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Enemy of the State. Mental note taken. So on that note, guys, because I know we can talk about all day long.
Swordfish. Throw Swordfish in there as well.
Hey,
that was the one I was thinking about. It's like, I have to remember the name.
That's a top one too, man. We could talk all day on that one.
Swordfish.
Well, maybe you know what? Maybe you guys need to come back and we'll talk about it some more. How about that?
Okay.
All right. So awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. So Mike, Lionel, Alfred, you guys are rock stars. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to wrap it up for Checkpoint Real Talk. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Checkpoint Real Talk. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button and some of those other buttons to show us your appreciation. And if you want to learn more or have any questions, please let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time for another episode of Checkpoint Real Talk.